Good evening, Paul. It's Asher here, and this is going to be the skills analysis for the throw. As seen in the exemplar video that I provided by the channel Ultimate Baseball Training, these are a few of the most important things to keep in mind when perfecting the baseball throw. You should keep your feet and shoulders squared towards the target. You should definitely make a tee. You should point the glove hand towards the target prior to releasing the ball. The finger should definitely face away and on top of the ball when gripping it rather than from the side or anywhere else. And it's important to use the body to swing and use the body's momentum in order to maximize the power and speed of the throw. Also, you can't forget to lift the back leg off the ground in order to maximize the power and speed as well. First things first, I'm going to play the clip of me throwing the ball 2 times all the way through and then provide you with my initial reaction on how I felt about it. That's 1, and then this is 2. Okay, so on first glance, I'm not going to get too in-depth here, but my initial reaction was that I didn't seem to have put a lot of effort into the motion. What I mean by this is I kind of portrayed it here to myself that it looks like a lazy throw. It looks lazy, and it looks like I didn't really bring the intensity on it at all. No body movement. It didn't really look fluid. It looked kind of forced and pretty stiff. Those were my initial reactions. Now, let's break the video into different freeze frames and analyze what I'm doing well and doing wrong at those specific pinpoints in the video. All right, so this is right as I'm getting set to throw the ball. As you can see here, my shoulders seem to be pretty well squared towards my target, which is a positive thing. However, my feet are somewhat squared, but I do find that my right foot was a little slanted and pointed outwards, which isn't good. The importance of having your feet squared is obviously to improve your accuracy and to make sure that you're throwing towards where your body is facing. So the fact that my right foot is slanted outwards here is negative in terms of perfecting my accuracy and throwing form. So that, as you can see through the red arrow, you'll see what I'm talking about. One good thing about this is that I have the ball perfectly centered at the bottom of my chest, which, as said in the video, is extremely crucial to focusing and getting settled into the actual motion. So that's a positive thing. All right. As you can see in this freeze frame, this is actually the furthest that I extended in terms of getting that T shape prior to me releasing the ball. Now, on initial glance, my right elbow with the ball in hand seems to be bent and not fully extended, which is a problem because obviously, as you said several times in class, it is very, very, very important to really exaggerate that T and extend all the way back, even to the point where it's ridiculous. And obviously, I didn't do that at all. I still kept my elbow bent, which is not a T. So that's one thing that I got to work on. And as you can see with my left arm here, the glove is pointing towards the target, so that is a good thing in terms of my aim. However, it's still somewhat bent and not the T shape that I would have hoped for when rewatching this video. All right. As you can see in this freeze frame, one thing really stands out here, and it's the fact that I've already released the ball. Right away, you know that by releasing the ball this early and short-arming the throw, you're essentially missing out on all the power and speed that you could have gotten with the full range of motion. By releasing the ball early, you're basically releasing the ball in a way that would result in it going upwards and more of a lob and slower rather than releasing it as you're extending all the way, which would make it harder, faster, and more powerful. So, right away, that is just definitely something bad. Short-arming this throw and releasing the ball that early is definitely the biggest problem of this throw, for sure. Another thing to kind of focus in on is that, as said in the video, it's definitely crucial to lift the back leg off of the ground as you're throwing the ball. And this naturally happens due to all the power you use and momentum from your body's swing. However, the fact that I didn't end up lifting my back right foot and I kind of dragged my tippy toes on the ground is a sign that I wasn't actually using the proper amount of momentum from my body, which automatically results in a decrease in power of the throw. So that's definitely one thing that I would have to work on. All right, and this is the last freeze frame, and there's not really much to say about it here. Same problem occurs as my right foot kind of just dragged on its tiptoes on the grass, which was weird. But what I wanted to focus in on here is the follow through. I remember that you said in class how important it was to take that right arm, the throwing arm, and then as you throw, tuck it into the left side. And I don't feel like I'm doing a very good job of that here. As I said before, one of the biggest issues with this throwing form is that I wasn't exaggerating my motions, and that's a problem. And this tuck that we were supposed to be doing is not happening here. This is the furthest down that I go. I didn't really bend forward. I didn't really put a lot of energy into the throw afterwards, after I released the ball. So definitely this last shot kind of just shows you that I wasn't really moving and I wasn't really using that swing and momentum of the body. As I've said many times, this is just another example of that. So yeah. Okay. Now, I'm going to share 3 drills with you that I feel are going to help me improve 3 weaknesses that I had in the throwing motion. First of all, we have the T-shape drill. The goal of this is to develop the T-shape position in my throwing motion and to kind of just drill it into my head that I have to do it, remind myself. Anyways, the way this drill would work is you find a flat surface. You basically start the drill by preparing to throw, and then you extend your non-throwing arm right into the T shape. You're doing basically half the T. Your left arm goes into the T form, and then you focus really on extending that right throwing arm all the way back. And then once you've developed the full T, you're not going to throw it. You're going to hold the T for 5 seconds, and you're really going to stretch the T out. After 5 seconds, you're going to bring the ball back to the chest, both arms back in, and start again. Start with extending your left arm into the T, your non-throwing, followed by really bringing your throwing arm extended all the way back into a full T. The reason we're not actually throwing this is because we want to drill this into my head so much that it becomes muscle memory to do this T. And by holding it and doing it repeatedly over and over again, my mind will kind of adapt and it will become more normal for me to do the T shape. The next drill that I'm going to be doing is the delayed release drill, and this is kind of going to be with the goal in mind of teaching me not to release the ball as early as I have been before I actually extend. And the way that this drill would work would be I would essentially, again, find a flat surface, whatever, get a baseball, do it on a field, preferably the pitcher's mound, and prepare to throw. And then as I actually, this time we're actually going to be throwing the ball, and I do my motion, and instead of releasing the ball where I usually am, I'm going to purposefully delay the throw. So I'm going to hold it for a fraction of a second longer than I want to. And it might be wonky, and it might hit the ground, it might release way too late. The point of this is to find the sweet spot. And by doing this, I'm naturally going to, once again, develop this muscle memory of releasing the ball later than as early as I have been. And after enough repetitions of this drill, I'm going to develop the perfect time of releasing this ball, which is exactly what I'm going for. The third and final drill that I'll be working on is the hip rotation drill. And the reason I'm doing this is because I felt that I wasn't using the full momentum of my body to my advantage, and the goal of this is to just ensure that I am, basically. Once again, find a flat surface, maybe the pitcher's mound if you want. You don't need a ball for this one, but you can if you want to simulate like a real game situation, I guess. You begin the throwing motion. However, when you follow through, and as you're throwing the ball, you want to place the extra emphasis on your hips. So as you're initiating the throw, you want to open up your lead hip by rotating it toward your target and kind of imagine that you're leading it with your hip. As your hip starts to rotate, you want to allow your upper body to follow naturally. Your shoulders and chest should definitely rotate as a result of the hip movement. So by repeating this many times and really just focusing on the hip and just they don't even focus too much on the actual arms and throwing motion that we were focused on in the previous drills, but really just put the power in swinging those hips, and that's what you want to be focusing on. Once again, this is basically going to develop this sort of muscle memory into my brain and head, and all these drills combined will hopefully allow me to basically gain these new skills that I'm lacking, and then would result in me having a better baseball throw. So yeah, I hope you followed along, and I hope it was clear, and yeah, thank you.